Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Patriot podcast. This is Lucas Thompson. I'm here with Gary Scherer. Gary Scherer is a Pickaway County Commissioner and a former state representative. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Lucas. Thanks for having me.
Oh, definitely, most definitely. So me and Gary Scherer know each other from way back. Actually, when I first came here to Circleville, you've been a pretty prominent businessman, especially in this community. And I believe, was it my parents bought a business or?
Yeah, I sold your parents the Subway franchises for the Circleville area.
Oh, great.
They'd had the one or two Subways, I believe, and then I sold Tom and Jonna the Subways owned by Circleville Oil Company. At that time, I was the president of Circleville Oil, and we were in the process of liquidating it. So got to know your mom and dad, and they just bragged on these 4 boys that they had that they were so proud of. I didn't have any. Didn't really know that they were going to be moving to Circleville at that time, but then ultimately you did.
Yes, definitely we did, and I believe we also lived in your former house about, I think, 2 owners back that you lived in that.
Yeah. That's a small. Circleville's not that small a town, but it turns out, I remember one Sunday afternoon, your dad giving me a call and saying, "Gary, I think we're in your old house." And sure enough, you ended up buying. I think we had the house 1 or 2 owners before, and so you ended up with your high school career.
Yep.
In our house in Oak Park.
It was a great house.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that house. There was a lot of privacy, and it felt like the country, but you still had Circleville and Ohio Christian right down the road, so it was a nice mix.
I did tell your folks if they ever found any money in the walls, it was mine, but they never admitted that they did.
Well, I'm not going to tell if I did find it. So you, shortly, I believe, after that purchase, or was it during that purchase, you sort of started thinking about running for state representative?
Well, honestly, Luke, I didn't necessarily have any thoughts of running for it. I was winding down Circleville Oil Company. We'd sold off different parts of it, including the Subway shops, etc. And I got a call. I got a recruiting call from a friend of yours and mine, Colton Henson.
Oh, great.
Colton called, and he was actually calling on behalf of himself and Brian Stewart. And my state rep at that time, Bob Peterson, had recently become the new state senator because Dave Daniels, my state senator, John Kasich had named him the director of the Department of Agriculture.
Okay.
And so Bob interviewed for and became appointed to the Senate, and so the seat was vacant. And Colton gave me a call and said, "Gary, you ought to throw your hat into that ring to be appointed to replace Bob and fill out his term." I first said, "Are you crazy? What are you thinking?" I've never had any political office. We had supported Republican candidates with fundraisers and so forth at our home, but never had any aspiration to hold a public office.
Well, typically those are the best kind of candidates or office, public officials to have in office.
Maybe, but the fact is, I had never even considered it. But he said there's not very many people that have announced that they're candidate for it. I said, well, all right. I would never. At that time, I said I would never run a campaign from zero. Announcing a candidacy and starting a campaign from zero. But ended up saying, well, all right, maybe if there's an appointment process, maybe we'd enter into that and see. Well, those almost no people applying for it that Colton had told me about turned out to be 10 people that had applied to be appointed. And so we went through that process and became the appointed candidate. Immediately had to run. Ran against a guy from Chillicothe. Army Armstrong was his name. And Army and I are Robert, but Army is what he went by.
Okay.
We became friends through that, and he's a good man. But I ended up successfully winning that election, and then ended up the the 8.5 to 9 years with our 8-year term limits in the House. Ended up being term limited there.
Well, that's you had a great career. I remember that you were well, I wouldn't say career, but a time in office, because you have never made it a career. But I'm definitely appreciative of Colton Henson for reaching out to you.
Yeah.
I just remember when I was first sort of diving into politics or the state house, or I mean, I've mainly been on the House side, but you've always been a very good representative and a very good friend as well.
Yeah.
So it's been great to have you in there. And now that you're back in Pickaway, you're a commissioner. So what are some of the things most memorable, or that you feel was a great accomplishment in the Ohio House?
Well, I suppose in terms of bills that I shepherded and ended up getting passed, definitely the most significant one was one that we named Annie's Law, and that was in name of a young lady, an attorney in Chillicothe, who was tragically killed in a head-on accident with a multiple-time drunk driver. And we were able to, through 2 General Assemblies, it wasn't easy, but we had a bill that finally got through that encouraged the use of interlock devices, the thing where you had to blow into a device before you could start your car. And during that process, I actually had one put on my own car, and I can attest that it's not something that you could just hand to a child and have them blow into, because it wasn't easy. Even stone sober, I remember having to leave my car sitting in front of the barber shop here in Circleville over a weekend, because it's not the easiest thing to do. But long story short is Annie's Law was probably the most significant bill that I think I personally shepherded through and sponsored and got passed.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a tragic story, and I think that will lead to safer roads and lessening the risk of what happened with Annie. So, what's some other times that you remember? Sort of, I know that the State House has been sort of in a little bit of chaos in the last few years.
Yeah.
Is there, anything that comes to mind when it comes to the State House in the last few years? Yeah,
I would, Luke. I guess the thing that I am, frankly, the most proud of in terms of the time that I was there came at the very end. Of course, we had the incredible situation with our former Speaker, Larry Householder, the arrest, the indictments, etc., and so forth. And through that turmoil, I'm proud to say that I was the first and generally the lead a person that encouraged Bob Cupp to throw his hat into the ring to be elected by our caucus to become the new Speaker of the House. That wasn't easy, but it was the right thing. Bob is just an incredibly high integrity, honest and transparent guy, and we were able to get him to be the interim, I guess, if you will, Speaker through the last General Assembly, and then he was elected by his peers in the current General Assembly. I actually just talked with Speaker Cupp this afternoon and apologized to him once again for dragging him into the speakership, but he's again definitely the most one of the most high integrity, most conscientious guys that I know, and he's doing a great job at leading the House now.
Yeah, I noticed that whenever I had met him, I believe in his first term back, he always seemed very level-headed, sort of, you got a sense of integrity, that he can stabilize things, he can bring people together.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that, because during your tenure, you had one speaker resign, then there was an interim speaker, then a speaker that was voted on that became speaker, and then another speaker.
Yeah.
And then a forceful removal of that speaker,
Right.
and then a new speaker.
It's
It's
pretty incredible
yeah,
time frame.
yeah, it's very incredible, and I think that Speaker Cup brings what's needed, I guess, to the Ohio House of Representatives, and I'm happy that the House is getting to the people's business, and things are becoming more stable there for sure.
Yeah, it is. I mean, as part of that transition, if you will, Speaker Cup asked me to take his place in the fair school funding plan. Was referred to as Cup Patterson, and ended up becoming a part of the state budget that the legislature just passed, and was really pleased and spent a lot of time trying to go around the state, explain it to other legislators, and work with the professional educators to justify that. And it is. I mean, the DeRolf decision, I always get my dates wrong, but it's over 20, almost 30 years old, saying
Wow.
that Ohio's school funding plan was unconstitutional. And we now have one. Finally, we now have one that I'm absolutely positive would pass the muster of being a fair and equitable school funding formula.
That's good, and that's obviously very, very, very important. So moving to where you currently are as a Pickaway County Commissioner.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about, you running or your duties as a commissioner and what you're looking at here.
Sure, Luke. It coincidentally worked out that Brian Stewart, one of the previous Pickaway County Commissioners, was interested in running for the Ohio House. Ron Hood, Pickaway County is divided roughly down the middle and into 2 House districts and 2 Senate districts. So Ron Hood was also term limited like I was, and so Brian was running for Ron's seat, and I hadn't had any necessary thoughts of continuing in public service, but it was Brian that kind of convinced me that maybe it would make sense to continue in some fashion and to run for his seat, and I'm glad he did because it's, number one, a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying. I've knew my counterparts, Jay Whipple and Champ Henson, to some degree, but I've gotten to know them a lot more, a lot better, and that's been very good. Things are going well for Pickaway County. Even during COVID, the finances of the county have been strong. Sales taxes, the collections, which is a major part of the funding of counties, has actually increased every year, month over month, not every year, but compared to last year, month over month increases. So financially, the county is doing well. We've got fantastic staff in the commissioner's offices and in the other elected official offices and so forth. So it's been a pretty fun time.
It sounds like it's been a great time. I know the other 2 commissioners, they're great guys. Having you 3 in there, I'm sure not only Brian but a lot of us are happy to see all 3 of you there with your experience and knowledge. And I've noticed that Pickaway, there's been a lot of, I guess, increase of population. I've seen a lot of home development, especially in northern Pickaway, and then also a lot of factories. But it seems like Pickaway is sort of a booming county right now, and as you said, it helps with the communities, and it's a great thing. So
yeah, it is. We've had nice growth of residential growth, largely in the northern part of the county. People wanting to get out of the city and moving a little further out. And distribution, warehousing has been a huge growth business for us, again, largely in the northern part of the county. Of course, several years ago, we had a major manufacturing plant that came to in the southern part of the county in Sofidel, and that was a huge win for Jobs Ohio and for Pickaway County to get this Italian company to build here. So yeah, we're excited and things are looking up. We're pretty.
And that
pretty
place
happy.
is massive.
It is
Huge
incredible.
facility.
1.6 million square feet, I think, is the number there. Of course, we've got warehouses. One of them up on State Route 104, just south of Grove City, in Pickaway County, is 1 million square feet and a million square foot twin to it going in right now. That's on the west side of the river, and over on the east side in the Rickenbacker area, I can't even tell you how many square feet of buildings are going in there. So
Sometimes you
things
look
are good.
you look at them build it. I mean, it's like up in months, and it looks like 6 football fields of just.
You're so
So
right.
it's
You're
crazy
so right.
process.
And getting the infrastructure built to be able to handle that is multifaceted. Roads and highways are a big part of it, but sewer and water is a major part as well. So there's a lot of different team players that need to enter into the fray on serving those.
Seems like we're doing a great job in this county with bringing those projects and making them happen. So it's great to see it.
We're blessed with the right location, the right workforce. Although we definitely need to be building our workforce and a trained workforce. That's for sure. But I want to send props out to our economic development director, Ryan Scribner. He's doing an awesome job with Pickaway Progress Partners, or P3 as we refer to it, our CIC, or Community Investment Corporation.
Great. Well, great. So moving away from the political side, what sort of, what's your hobbies? What do you enjoy to do, in your free time?
Yeah. Well, Debbie and I have 10 grandkids, and they're all pretty close nearby, and so we are completely blessed by that.
That'll keep you busy.
It does. Debbie is more so than me, but we've just downsized. We sold a big old farmhouse that we had been in for 23 years, and we've actually built a smaller house on the back of the farm, and dug a pond. Just received the delivery of our dock in our pond this morning. So Debbie and I had lunch out on the dock, and so the commissioner's job is it's busy enough, but with the great staff we've got and so forth, it has definitely reduced the amount of time that I need to spend on it compared to the State House. So
at that pond, you're going to do any fishing, or is it just?
Yeah, we've stocked it. We stocked it a year ago. Well, a year ago this spring with some fingerling, and supplemented it this spring. And yes, we've got a few in there, and it's pretty fun. Mostly for the grandkids.
Yeah,
but
it's always a relaxing time to fish. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So you're a CPA, and what's that career been? Has it been rewarding as a career, and also with your? I know that you're also an entrepreneur, but CPA, it's no easy feat. It's sort of you got to pass, I believe, the exam and all the other things. I'm not too certain, but you've done that for a while, and you built a big business with that as well.
Started out my career with what was then one of the Big 8. Now they're the Big 4, but one of the international CPA firms, and it was a great experience. And then have stayed in public accounting most of the time until I guess over 10, 15 years ago, my partners and I, in our local CPA firm, we were all about the same age and knew that we couldn't all leave at the same time. And as my partner Jeff Haar said, Scheer's just the one that found another job first. So I did find I'd been on the board of Circleville Oil Company for quite a while. and our CEO was leaving, and so I ended up becoming the CEO of Circleville Oil Company, and another business is, I guess, an entrepreneur owned the Jackson Hewitt tax offices throughout Central Ohio and some other parts of Ohio. So, anyway, yeah, we've done a few things, but have sold out of those now, and life's a little bit slower, and we're enjoying that.
That's great. That's great. I know. From what you've told me, your wife wants to travel at some point.
Yeah.
Any places that you have in mind? Anywhere that you sort of think about that you might want to go visit someday?
We've been blessed to be able to visit, a number of the places. We don't have a bucket list per se, but we had just an amazing trip. I guess it would have been now 2 years ago to the Holy Land.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was the most inspiring, and historical. I mean, to think where we were was just amazing. But other than that, we kind of like beaches and that sort of thing. So,
that's great.
We're planning to travel around. We did think that, and this new home that we built has a facility to park a motor coach RV. In the meantime, while we were building this and had to get out of our place and weren't quite ready to move into the new place, we had a little camper that we lived in for about a month. And that's kind of cured us on the idea of having this RV. So we're thinking the hotels are maybe a little more the way we want to travel.
Yeah. That's funny. So one last thing before we go. I know that there's a big race going on in the 15th district.
Yeah.
I know that you've been vocal about who you picked as the candidate that you want to win. So if you don't mind, who is that, and is there any specific reason why listeners should pay attention to that candidate or vote for that candidate?
No. Thanks for asking, Luke. Yeah. I'm strongly supporting Bob Peterson to replace Steve Stivers. Steve has been an awesome congressman for us. I've really enjoyed getting to know him, et cetera. Bob has breadth of experience. He's a small businessman as a farmer. He's been the president of the Ohio Farm Bureau. He's been a county commissioner. He was the state rep. He is the guy that when Dave Daniels became the director of ag, then Bob replaced him as the senator. So Bob has been in the Ohio House of Representatives. He's been in the Ohio Senate now and is currently serving the Ohio Senate. In the last General Assembly, he was the president pro tem of the Ohio Senate, the number 2 guy in the Ohio Senate. Showing the high regard that his peers had for him, and that the president of the Senate, Larry Obhoff, had for him. And so Bob's got the breadth of experience both in private business as well as public service. And there's a slew of candidates in that. Several of them have celebrity endorsees, but Bob has over 100 local elected officials throughout the whole 12 counties, 15th district, and so he's more the grassroots, more the guy actually out there in the weeds and making the contacts and being able to serve people. I'm good friends with several of the other candidates, and they're good enough people. But Bob, in my mind, shines far and above the others.
Yeah, I saw him yesterday, and I said no matter what happens, you should definitely be proud of the race that you've run, because he does have a lot of those endorsements from the people throughout the district, especially elected officials and people within the central committees and elsewhere. So it's been, I'm not surprised by it, but it's definitely something he should be very proud of no matter what happens. I think he has a really good chance, but it's hard to say with these special elections what'll happen, because it's a last minute sort of crazy thing that had happened.
Yeah.
So, but Bob and Lisa, his wife, they're very genuine, and
Very
so
much.
nice. So
Very
I
much.
enjoy every time I get to see him.
Well, and it's in my opinion, it's the right time in his life and in his career. They've just become empty nesters. Their kids, or his son has come back to the farm and is helping Bob's brother run the farm and so forth. Some of the other candidates have younger families and so forth, and it's not my place to tell them what they ought to do, but in my opinion, for their own good, it might be better if they waited for a while.
Yeah.
But long story is Bob is we could not possibly do any better than Bob Peterson representing us in Congress, and that's why I'm supporting him.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll be interesting. I believe there's only, is it a month left or a month and a half?
Sounds right. Gosh,
Is it August something?
August the 3rd. August 3rd.
August 3rd.
Yeah.
So everybody listening, August 3rd, that lives in the 15th district,
Right.
know that there will be a primary vote.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Gary Scherer, Pickaway County Commissioner, for coming on. It's always great to talk to you and see you. So,
Luke, I'm really proud of what you're doing too. Congratulations on your finishing law school, and look forward to your future.
thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.